So hi everyone, and welcome to Product Talks, the series where you can get in the know about all things product at Kontent.ai, the what, the why, and the AI. I'm Monica, coming to you from Prague, and today I'm joined by my colleagues, Chris and Martin. And today we're going to dive into everything about mission control. Mission Control is the CMS industry's first ever content operations dashboard that allows you to have complete visibility over everything that's happening in your Kontent.ai project. So that includes your content, your teams, your workflows. It's all here. What I'm really excited about is the visibility and the actionability and the new context it'll bring your teams and the efficiency that you can drive. So today we will look at what mission control is and why it exists. We'll take a quick tour of what it can do, what it looks like, and then we'll wrap up with a little bit of what's coming. So before we dive in, Chris, Martin, thanks for joining me today. Would you mind giving a little bit of an introduction about yourself and what you do?
Sure. Chris Janning, I head up Presales and Content Strategy, and I'm out of Chicago.
Yeah, hey, my name is Martin Malenovsky. I'm a senior product manager at Kontent.ai, and I'm focusing mainly on content production and business user experience.
Perfect. So as we dive in, when we think of the term mission control, I think it can conjure up a very familiar image to a lot of folks who are tuning in. So Chris, I wanted to ask you, what comes to mind when you hear mission control, and what are we trying to do at Kontent.ai with ours?
Launching. So the first thing that comes to mind is the idea of launching your day with potentially actionable data. So data that is insightful in terms of how you maybe want to structure your day, and then ultimately, how you can take action. Mission control is built of basically 3 tabs or 3 dashboards. And I think that's important when you are building out dashboards, because you don't want to overwhelm the user with too much information on one screen. So the 3 dashboards are, the first one's simply named dashboard. We'll review that, but it's a variety of KPIs, and that's what you're splashed with initially. Now, the term splash, I've been in software for a long time, and I love the idea of splashing your day with something that you can take action on, as I mentioned. But most of the good platforms I've worked on have some sort of view into what's happening inside the platform. Not so much what's going on the outside in terms of what the users are doing and how they're interacting, but ultimately what's happening on the inside of the platform. The second tab would be content status, and that's basically bubbling up all of the content items that you need to basically take action on. Something's happening on them relatively soon. A due date is approaching. A due date is overdue. There's tasks. There's comments. It gives you a view into some of the more outstanding items that should probably be addressed. And the last one is my favorite. It's referred to as content pace. It's a really simple dashboard in terms of what it shows you, but it is exposing one of our unique differentiators. It's in terms of workflows and governance. So the many different workflows that can be used inside a particular CMS application. This exposes everyone that you're using and each individual step in that workflow to allow you to identify bottlenecks. So splash your users with something that you can take action on. It's a unique view into content operations, which isn't basically done currently in the CMS industry. And then they're well organized in a less is more fashion.
And I think one of the reasons why we wanted to host this Product Talks today especially is really exciting changes have come to mission control and the entire Kontent.ai platform as a whole, and that now upon launch of Kontent.ai, mission control is your new home base. So not only do you have access to insights about what's happening on an entire project level, but also your assignments, your work, the content you've recently edited, your editorial calendar. It's now all in one place, which I think makes mission control even more mission control-y, if I can say it like that. So for me, the added complexity that comes with the amount of content you're managing, the amount of governance that goes into these more complex workflows, you need that added visibility. You need that added context to the work you're doing as an individual contributor. And that's why I'm excited to show you and have Martin walk you through what mission control looks like, because this complexity can feel maybe a little bit uncomfortable, but when you have the visibility, it can ease what you're trying to do and make sure that you have tabs on everything that's happening, and the efficiency that can drive. So Martin, if you wouldn't mind, we'd love to see mission control in action, and what some of your most interesting views are.
Yeah, I'm here to show you the mission control. Yeah, but before I will actually show my screen, I would like to say a few things, because what you said, it's definitely true. One of the ideas behind the mission control before we actually started was, yeah, guys, we are investing and telling our customers for years that with Content.ai they are more efficient, more flexible, faster, and that they can control even the most complex content under control. But then we said, okay, but how the customer actually can tell it's happening? Yeah, so we were thinking how we can help our customers to realize on their own that there's something different, something is changing, something is improving, instead of just waiting for us to tell them or show them some white paper with amazing numbers. Yeah, so that was one of the ideas, and definitely the other parties, as you mentioned, to really have things under control. So let me share my screen and go to mission control. Okay. Yeah, as Monica mentioned, we've merged the home and mission control. So mission control is a new home. That's the place where every user will start their day, and they can just quickly go through the few widgets here. The first two are meant in the section items, and it's related to recently edited items and items assigned to you. So it's very personal for every user. And the second part is the tasks. On the left side, you can see widget your task, which is, I believe, obvious, tasks assigned to a specific user. But what's a new thing? It's a task assigned by you, and that's something what's really based on the feedback from our customers, because they said, especially the content managers or content strategists, that they are creating many tasks for their team, and they were just missing a way how to actually see the tasks they created and being able to quickly check the status of those tasks. The second part is called dashboard right now, and it's more about the content. It's not so personal. So as you can see in the top part, there's a content progress. It's like a split of content edited in last 90 days, and get really quick overview. What's the status? How big portion of content is on track? How big portion is delayed, scheduled, etc. Tasks done on time and items published on time. That's something specifically for users really caring about content being on time. And once a task, because for tasks and for content items, it's possible to set due dates, and then in moment of completion of tasks or publishing item, we just measure if it was before due date or if it was overdue, and then it's possible to check the progress and compare the current month, current week, or past 30 days and see the improvement. As you can see in this example, we are not doing very best. And in the bottom part, there are another three widgets. One is called overdue tasks, and that's very powerful. And so far, it's visible mainly for project managers, because it really shows all tasks over the whole project, and it's order-based due date. So the project manager can immediately see if there's any overdue task, and he actually doesn't need to care about the item or who created the task, but definitely there's a task which is overdue, so it should be probably taken care about. And last but not least, too, that's something what I really like, as unchanged published items, which focuses on being able to control not the content which is inside of Content.ai platform, but the content which is actually outside, which was already published. And that's something what we were discussing with our customers for a long time, that especially in some regulated segments where it's not about the publishing on time, but it's as well very often unpublishing on time or updating on time. So these widgets helps content managers to see how long time passed after the last publish or last update of specific item. So here we can see that this item is live 150 days without any update, which could be fine, but for our customers, it's just too much. So this is the way how they can quickly identify the items which, let's say, require potentially some attention and need some update or just a refresh of content. And unchanged, unpublished items, on the other hand, focuses mainly on content which is inside the platform and waiting for publish. And that's a content which we can call like a stuck somewhere or forgotten, because you can see that, for example, this item is 80 days in draft state in workflow without any change, which probably is something what, again, the content manager or copywriter should just look at, because it could be unusual to have one item waiting for workflow transition for like 3 months or even longer.
And what I like about this dashboard, it's really simple enjoyment here is the color, right? So I'm drawn to certain icons, like the due dates, with the alert icon next to it. It's red, so I'm drawn to that for a reason. Splitting out the steps in the workflow, you can choose what colors the steps in the workflow are, so that becomes easily identifiable to you based on how you've worked with it. So again, splashing users not only with data, but also something that's pleasant to look at. And the colors and the layout is also well chosen to make sure it's pleasurable.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point that you bring up, actually, Chris, because one of the things we talk about a lot is that, there's data, but then there's insights that you can, or signals that you can act on. And, there's one thing about looking at a dashboard and being like, that's great, and then going about your day, but then looking at a dashboard and getting that strong signal that there's something that needs your attention, or there's something that you can improve or tweak or just revisit and make a little bit better, that makes mission control for me something that you can adopt and then see the sort of fruits of your efforts of making these small tweaks and changes along the way. It's not about seeing a report and then overhauling everything, but it's what are those, small incremental improvements that you can make over time that'll really make the difference in your operations.
Yeah. So let's move to content status. I think that you will be even more impressed, because the content status, it's really a dashboard or just a list of items with one simple goal, and be on time. As you can see, there's a list of items, and it's important to say that this is the first listing in Kontent.ai, which let users to see all language variants together. So really about the particular pieces of content which will be published, ordered by a due date. And not only that, but as well immediately see if there are some unresolved tasks or unresolved comments in those particular items. Mm-hmm. And so again, for mainly for content managers or project managers, that's very valuable, and that's a feedback from our customers or testers of content status, that they want to see that, because that's the first thing they check at the morning to see if they should tell someone, hey, you should do it today because it will be just late. Because as you can see, there's a workload. So a few examples. This particular item, then the new trends in health tech. There's a due date, it's in 1 day, and it's still in draft state, which is probably a problem, because there is the whole workflow still has the item still has to go through the whole workflow, and it's just 1 day. In other cases, like 2 days, and the content is already approved, so which is probably fine. And so there's the report which really helps the content managers or marketing managers make sure that, yeah, we are on track, or we just have to do something because we are slipping somewhere.
Mm-hmm. And if you're an inbox zero kind of person, I don't know if you are, but I kind of am. It's very satisfying to look at, the comments and go in and resolve those, or the tasks, and oh yeah, I already did that. I just, I forgot to resolve it.
you can just quickly go through the tasks and just jump into item, and the same for comments.
And a subtle, somewhat of a subtle detail in the top right-hand corner. It's by language. So when you've got when you're supporting multiple languages, you can slice this dashboard based on what your specialty is and what you need to worry about.
Yeah, it's really important for multilingual companies or producing content in multiple languages, because each particular language is published separately and very often reviewed by different team or different people. So the content managers really need to see that Espanol is fine and English is behind, and all those languages being able to see all of them together or separately, but it's possible. And here's a content base. Yeah, that I think that's your preferred part, Chris.
Yeah. So the visual here, it's really simple. It again, color based, but also it show we're talking about managing the supply chain here. Whatever the content supply chain. So what steps does it take to actually get something published? And all of the different steps that need to be completed to get there. So it's laid out in somewhat of a linear fashion to show you, in what direction it goes, and then more importantly, where are the bottlenecks, right? So what's slowing you down? On average, it takes almost 3 days to publish an article plus legal review. How can I get that down to 2.5 or down to 2 days? So the best way to do that is to look at the individual steps in there and start with the longest and work your way backwards. So in this case, draft is pretty long, but then that's quickly followed by the review. So again, breaking it down visually and then exposing the bottlenecks, and ultimately, what can I take action on? Where should I start if I want to, bring it down from 3 days down to 2?
Yeah, I think what's also interesting about content pace, if I may, is that it also exposes the fact that your workflows may be a little bit too simple. Maybe you have just a draft phase and it's taking forever, and you're like, why is my draft phase taking forever? Well, you don't realize it's actually drafting, and then you've been waiting for graphics, and then you actually did feedback and reviews, and then it went back into draft phase. So you start to realize, okay, how do my processes actually look in reality, and how can I reflect that into my content management system, and realize that draft is actually 3 smaller steps, and I should have my workflow reflecting that reality. Or if it's review, should it be 3 different review steps? Should it be, SEO review? Should it be legal review? Should it be, SME review? And it allows you to really then mirror perfectly what your actual processes are into your CMS, and then you can much more easily find out where those bottlenecks are. You can say, there's a bottleneck in the draft phase. Or you can say there's a bottleneck in the drafting of the headlines phase or the metadata phase. So I think it allows you to reflect reality better, and then pinpoint, as Chris mentioned, those bottlenecks even more quickly.
Yeah, definitely. And there's even more, as you mentioned, that the transparency of being able to see just through the workflow steps and understand and find the bottlenecks. That's the goal. And of course, you can check that particular step and see really each particular item in the last 3 days and the time spent in this particular step. And you can see there are differences. So you can go even deeper and check why this item take only 15 hours and this item took 46 hours. It's the same content type and same workflow. And of course, you can filter it based on the different content operations, because we do know that creating a new content just takes some more time than updating existing content, or just to create new localization of already existing content. And all those things can be separated and split, and you can really, the goal is to help content managers or users just go deep and find where are the bottlenecks and where's the space for optimization or increasing efficiency of content production.
Yeah, the filtering is critical. It's one thing to have a dashboard, but the dashboard might not be asking or answering the questions that you're looking to ask. So uh, applying your own filters and applying your own lens at any point is extremely important to get to where you want to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for giving us this tour here, Martin. Is there anything else that you wanted to show us?
I think this is it for mission control, but as we mentioned, we actually merging mission control and home. So for users looking for or like a steeples in a home, like a project overview and editor calendar, they were moved here, so they can easily be accessed by all users. I think they don't need any introduction because all our users are very familiar with those parts of the product.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, as Chris mentioned, I wanted to say, as Chris mentioned earlier today, it's a great way to, a dashboard's a great way to start off your day. So the fact that it's here, your work, and then the macro level view of what's happening across the project and your calendar views and project overviews, having that all once you enter into the platform every day, I think it's gonna I would say be a little bit more motivating or contextual for like my work in sort of the larger context of everything that's happening with your teams and your workflows.
Yeah, that's actually one thing which I would like to share, that it's a real pleasure to working on mission control as a product manager, because that's the kind of feature the customers really love, because it requires no implementation. It's just there, and they can immediately start thinking about data and telling me, well, we would like to see a bit more data or different kind of data. So it's very interactive for users, and very easy to just adopt and start using. And if not, just contact Kontent.ai team, and every time we can just consider some improvement or addition into widgets and feature set.
Mm-hmm. I think what we talked a lot about today already is the fact around, accelerating your workflows, finding those bottlenecks, making sure to take, something that could take 3 days and turn it into 2.5 days. I think that's a great way to transition into thinking about, we are Kontent.ai, so we think a lot about how AI can also accelerate your workflows, how AI can be that force multiplier for you in the work that you do every day. So we will talk a little bit about now the synergy between AI and mission control. But Chris, from your perspective, I would love to hear a little bit more around what you're hearing from the field, or what your experience with AI is on those content operations and on that sort of acceleration piece that our customers are so looking for.
So the last year has been fascinating with everything that's AI related, and we've seen it firsthand in terms of customers' initial excitement to becoming somewhat tempered as far as what's the value here for me. The initial offering for most software organizations just over a year ago was, and you probably saw it on LinkedIn, is, hey, this is going to revolutionize commerce. It's going to revolutionize content operations. I mean, almost every vendor was doing something with ChatGPT, but it was the same plugin. Right. So it's the same integration that everyone was basically offering. So customers were seeing the exact same thing from basically every vendor, some sort of text enhancement, image enhancement, image and text creation, tone adjustment. Ultimately, it was tweaking how you create and how you generate content. And so the excitement level is somewhat tempered out here a little bit. And I think what customers are looking more towards is, well, let's dig a little bit deeper into what you do specifically as a software organization. It's one thing to generate content just like everyone else is doing. It's another thing to use AI to improve how the CMS operates underneath the covers. So how can AI help with repetitive and mundane tasks? How can it help me automate things that I don't simply want to do anymore? And the value from a CMS standpoint is that frees up content creators to do what they want to do and do what they do best, and that's create content. So when you've got that helper, that co-pilot there that's helping alleviate a lot of the the tasks that again are repetitive and can be automated safely. Also, on top of that, safely can be automated to where you're trusting, obviously, AI to do that. Then you're going to free up, again, what people are looking to do ultimately, and that's to create.
Mm-hmm. And I think what Martin and I talk about quite a bit on our calls is the fact that that type of impact that AI can have can. Some people are thinking, okay, how do I know that AI is actually helping me with this repetitive task? How is it saving me time? And with mission control, it's pretty obvious where you can see AI's impact on your workflows. How's the pace of my workflows? Is it accelerating? Am I getting more and more efficient in my operations? Are we publishing tasks more on time than ever before? Are we able to get items published on time? Are we really able to battle some of those late deadlines that we've been struggling with? So what I think is great about mission control and what I'm excited for is for people to see the promise of AI delivered in actual tangible ways and being able to present that to other parts of the organization as well. And in numbers, in that hard data, in the insights that's shared with the team basically every time they drop into the Kontent.ai platform. Martin, what's your take when you've been talking to customers or when you were developing this with the team?
Yeah, definitely. As Chris mentioned, that I spoke with many customers regarding our AI features and about the market. And they told me the very similar thing that generating content and generating images, it's kind of fun, but it's hardly usable in standard part of our process because it's much more complex, and we still spend a lot of time reviewing actually generated content. So the customers, we would like to see something serious. So that's I can see the big connection between mission control and AI features, or just the trends that here, as Monica mentioned, in mission control, you can see not just that you are using feature, but you can see outcomes. You can see that using specific feature actually improved your ratio of items published on time, or you can see the just the time spent or lead time of content production is smaller. Yeah, so it's not like we are using something, but we can see that it's doing something for us. Or not doing, and that's as well a good thing to know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great time to transition as well, because to looking at what's coming, both on the AI side and the mission control side, because Martin, you've been talking to a lot of customers about what they need and what they're excited for. So we'll share what's coming up on our roadmap. So
yeah, what's on the roadmap? I will start with that one. Yeah, minimize risk with new controls, and that's something what I just mentioned. That right now we are working on a feature which is called review content with AI, and the goal is to reduce the time spent on reviewing content and for reviewers, and as well help content editors to be sure before they passing content for review that it was checked, so they can fix the biggest issues before. And how it will work, it's really simple, because all our customers, they have style guides, brand guidelines, all this type of documents, which can very easily be translated into prompt for a language model, which is then configured in Kontent.ai. And as a content writer, I'm just writing down one piece of article, and then when I'm done, I can just ask AI to check just created item if it's compliant with all those style guides which was configured before, and immediately I can get the responses and suggestions to improve something. So I have much better feeling when I'm passing the item for review. As well, on the review side, they can just use the same feature to do a really at least basic check, and they don't need to check everything. Yeah, so the goal is to really make the content production smoother and save a time on both sides, content writers and content reviewers.
That's exciting. Chris, what's your take now that you've had a lot of experience with AI and hearing folks' challenges out there?
Well, this is what I was just talking about, to where you're digging deeper, and you're getting into, that somebody tapping you on the shoulder. "Psst, hey, I think you meant offers, not guarantees." And this is not based on, and there is grammar checking and spell checking in here as well, and that's obviously dictionary based, right? But when you talk about guidelines, that's data driven. That's your guidelines as an organization, guidelines that you need to follow. And the way that we do that is through large data sets, so AI, right? So looking at how things have historically been written, providing that data up front to provide that information initially out of the gate. So this is what I'm really excited about, is because that helper is starting to emerge and begin to help move people down the line. It's not doing the work for me. It's helping me do my work much more quickly. And that's the goal.
I think that's a great segue into some additional widgets that will be coming to Mission Control. So really supporting the authors on the whole to work much faster and do what they do best. Chris, can you share a little bit more about the next set of widgets that are coming?
All right, so this is taking content pace and then drilling deeper into it, right? So actually looking at the individuals that are working on specific workflows. On top of that, it's looking at the team as a whole, and what's their workload? Who is overworked right now? Who could use some assistance? Who has nothing? Who needs something to do? And so, the other way to do that is for some sort of manager to continually be looking at how people are being assigned tasks, some sort of spreadsheet that is understanding, who's working on what, how much time is left. But, again, taking that level of responsibility out of that person's hand and looking at what's happening inside the CMS from a task assignment standpoint. And then you take it a step further and you begin to then be able to reallocate task to resources, right? So somebody else is overworked. John is a little bit slower than everybody else right now, so let's give him some additional work so he can help his team out. So beginning to evaluate how people are behaving currently, how they are historically, and how can you could actually improve what they're doing by reassignment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Martin, you mentioned that you also heard from customers that this was a big gap right now in their knowledge around the CMS. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, definitely. As Chris mentioned, that was a very common ask from customers, that we need some control. We need an overview what actually, not only what's happening, but who's taking care about it. And so this is our answer, that we will help our customers to see actually who's the top performer, who's underperforming, but it means that he just needs some training or just help from others. But of course, for some customers, it's not only about the workload or just performance evaluation, but as well about the cost control, because we have customers with hundreds and thousands of users in Kontent.ai. They just want to see that there's someone without not logging in for a month. Yeah, so they will speak with him, or they will just take the seat and give it to someone else, who can use it better.
Mm-hmm. And I am excited to share the last set of widgets that are coming as well, is around driving greater content quality and velocity. You've heard me a lot talk already around acceleration, but some of the things that we looked at is, the unchanged published items. So, for example, things that hadn't been published or touched since you published them. That's an important thing to note. But with these upcoming widgets around content compliance, expiration, and auditing, you get much more granular look and granular signals about what needs attention and when. So rather than just saying, oh, it's been 180 days since we updated this policy, instead you can get a signal that it's an issue, that it's been that long since you've touched that piece of content. And every organization has a little bit of a different approach of, what is a, frequency of how much things need to be updated. Some other organizations can let things linger a little bit, but some other organizations may, be on a deadline from, compliance or legal perspectives, and they need to meet those and prove that they meet those deadlines. So, again, Krista, you always talk about the colors. I think, again, this red signal is just is very clear about, hey, this needs attention now, and you're going to have some issues if your content expires or if some of your content is non-compliant. So, again, mission control is not just set it and forget it type of data, but it's really what action must I take and when to make sure that I'm providing high quality content, accurate content, compliant content at the speed that's required of me and my team. So, Martin, is there anything else you wanted to add from, the development perspective around these widgets?
I wouldn't say from development perspective, but I think it's important to mention that, as you can see, that we are not stopping. That with the mission control, we are just adding more and more, and in all cases, based on the customer feedback and needs, because we really wanna to help our customers to be compliant and not risking any problems caused by non-compliant content or just outdated content. So we are here to help, and as you can see that. And that's not all. We will continue, and I'm looking forward to see it.
Yeah, this view puts the importance on governance, and respecting our customers' complexity when it comes to content operations and what it takes to get something live, and taking that very seriously. There are many different situations out there where content management is very complex. And views like this help expose, situations where you need to step in and make sure things are occurring correctly, and you have a lens into when and where that's happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that added visibility is something that we're really excited to continue to bring and expose new areas and provide the data that the customers are really, really looking for and wanting to improve every step. So. You'll hear more from us on more product talks, I'm sure. So thank you so much, Chris and Martin, for joining me today. And if you have any questions at all about mission control, certainly reach out to us. We're here to talk about it. We love talking about it. But if you want to dive in and learn a little bit more by yourself right away, I recommend going to content.ai/what's-new. It's a great little rabbit hole into the rest of the resources. You'll find some great videos, more views. You can dive into different widgets and what they mean and how they can help and support and serve you. So again, thanks so much, Chris and Martin, and we'll see you in the next one.
You bet. Thanks, Monica.
Thank you, Monica.